I wanted to talk about evaluation from a perspective that we don't talk about. Because when you're talking about evaluation, what do you want? Positive results. Yeah, we are winning, we are winning. But really, the person who has taught us the most important thing about love is Bob Marley. What did Bob Marley say, Takashi?
Bob Marley says the truth is everyone is going to hurt you. You just got to find the ones worth suffering for.
So welcome to an all-new episode of Looks and Wisdom Sundays with me, Oluchi B. Hey guys, and welcome to another exciting episode of Looks and Wisdom Sundays with me, Oluchi B, aka the elusive pundit. Honey, how are you guys feeling?
We're good.
I'm good myself. So it's Valentine's month this month, and we're gonna be dropping this episode Valentine's weekend. We have you guys in the menu. So the title of the episode is called True Love is Conditional. The unavoidable truth that love comes with terms and conditions apply. So you need to read the fine print. That's what we're going to be talking about today. As per the title of today's episode, we're going to be talking about romantic relationships from the perspective that it is definitely conditional, as opposed to this narrative that we've been given that it is unconditional, because that is definitely not true. So Jennifer Lopez, I'm sorry honey, love does cost some things. So before we go any further, this episode was actually inspired by a series of IG posts that I saw from a guy named Anati. I don't know if it was like 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, but he was actually talking about how love is conditional. And when I was looking for, I did take some screen grabs, but I couldn't find it. So I was like, what do I know and what do I understand about love being conditional? Because I related entirely to the narrative that love is conditional. Now, before we go any further, you know we love a good definition over here at Looks and Wisdom. So, love is an emotional feeling that you feel towards someone or something. It is an affection that you have, and condition just basically means it depends on one or another thing. So love, the essence of love, the emotion that you feel is conditional, which means it depends on some things. So what we're going to be looking at today's episode are those things that you're supposed to be looking into when you are getting into a romantic relationship. For the purposes of this episode, we are going to be talking about people who are looking for long-term romantic partnership. We're not talking about sneaky links. We're not talking about what other relationship types exist. Side chicks. We're not talking about situationships. We are in essence just going to be talking entirely about long-term relationships. And to push the first point forward, so the first point is inspired by Ciara. And I was like, I'm not going to bore you guys to death about Ciara and her prayer that you guys probably don't even have, will never even know how to say. I wanted to look at the narrative she was talking about, because she said one of the most important things that actually helped her current relationship, which is hashtag relationship goals in social media, with Russell Wilson, was her understanding that having non-negotiables is very, very important in a relationship. So before we get further into this narrative about non-negotiables, T, can you please roll the clip of her husband?
Right before I met C, I wrote out my 5 non-negotiables. I think in any business deal, right, like marriage is, it's a partnership. You got to realize it's a partnership. It's a business deal. Not to be cold, but it's like, it's a partnership. It's we're going to spend the rest of our lives together. We're going to spend this. We're going to do this together. We're going to do this together. We're going to have these kids together. We're gonna raise these children together. Like, we're gonna make decisions together. Like, so it's a partnership. And so in any partnership, you gotta have your non-negotiables. So I started writing those out. I was like, man, I'm gonna write my 5 non-negotiables. 5 is the number of grace. So I said, I'm gonna write this out. And so I said the first one is number 1 is a one-to-one with faith, right? Somebody who's equally yoked and somebody who believes in Jesus and everything else the same way. Number 2 is a woman who's faithful, not just to me, but also faithful to everything that she's doing. You know, like.
Thank you, T, for that. I wanted to start with the first point that he is talking about. The fact that relationships are a partnership. What do you guys think about that?
Of course.
100%. So a relationship is a partnership, and when I was doing the research, he actually does speak about, before he even bothered to bore Ciara with whatever narrative he was going to have for the queen, he sat down with himself and he was like, I am looking for something. First, let me define it. And for him, he defined it as a partnership. And because he is an athlete, a businessman, he was like, for me, a partnership means it's a transaction between 2 people. In that essence, there's going to have to be that give and take energy. And he said immediately when he found out what he wanted from a relationship, which was a partnership, a long-term monogamous relationship with a woman, he moved then to what did he actually want in that partnership, which was then sort of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Boxed by these non-negotiables that he had. So on the inside is this partnership, but on the outside are these parameters that he had for himself around what he is looking for in a relationship. He said he was looking for someone who will tilt the furniture when she enters a room. What else did he say? He said he was looking for someone who is a strong Christian woman who believes in the same faith. And then he also said he was looking for an independent woman who had her own identity and her own way of existing and living. And then he also said he wanted someone who would love him the way his mother loved his father when he was on his deathbed. The last part I'm missing, but I can't remember, but that was the parameters in which he wanted to build this partnership. Now, everybody's got their own non-negotiables. What are some of your guys' non-negotiable? Is fidelity a negotiable for you guys? A non-negotiable, I mean, if a partner cheats, is that a no or what?
I mean, I think for me, definitely, if a partner cheats, that's a non-negotiable, because I think I look for a faithful partner. I mean, that's one of the first things that I look for. So if you break that, it's like breaking the trust. It cannot be rebuilt. So definitely it is for me. I don't know about Nikki.
For me, it's a yes and a no, because obviously there's different dynamics into the relationship. So you can say you cheat, wait until your partner cheats, and then how do you feel afterwards? Yeah. So for me, it's a yes and a no.
For me, it's definitely, fidelity is not a non-negotiable for me. And I mean by a non-negotiable, like a parameter that's like cast in stone. If you step over this line, it's a wrap. Like, I don't want to talk. Some of my non-negotiables are very, very simple, and they're centered around who I am. I am looking for a person who is spiritually inclined. For me, I'm not a Christian. I don't want someone who is a strong, they can be a Christian, they can be a Muslim. I don't want someone who's a strong head around religion. That's just not me. I don't want that. And if anybody's like, oh, we're gonna go to church on Sunday, the answer is no. I'm not showing up for that. I don't want anybody who is gonna interfere with my direct relationship with God. So I want someone who knows and understands that. On my end, I'm very comfortable with whatever religion you choose for yourself, but allow me to be able to be free in terms of my spirituality and growth. Number 2, I want someone who's gone through the evolution of life. Like, you know, when you are living in the shadows, you have no idea about life and putting things into boxes. I want someone who's already went through their tower moment, already suffered, but most importantly, already realized the suffering, healed themselves, and is like, fuck it, I don't care what was. this is who I am now, a healed version of myself, and I am going next to the next level. I don't care about the past. And thirdly, I want someone who has achieved a dream, a specific dream that they wanted for themselves when they were younger. It doesn't matter, you could have wanted to be a DJ, an executive in corporate. Like, I'm not wanting anybody who's still on the grind. Like, you are fetching a dream. And that links directly to money for me, because anybody who's still chasing a dream is broke.
Of course.
And number two, it also speaks about, if a man is still looking for stability, they never want to create with someone else. Only when they get to the other side of the survival are they like, okay, maybe I can see Nikki now, maybe I can do these things. And then I can't remember the other ones, they're in my diary, guys, but I think the other one was someone who is highly communicative, because I am a highly communicative person, so I want us to be able to have conversation. So communication is very key. And I think the last one was family orientated, a non-traditional family orientated, guys, because I don't believe in the traditional roles. Like, I'm waking up and going to a job, you waking up and going to a job, so who's supposed to be doing the dishes? Not me. We can pay for help, but those are like my non-negotiables. We've spoken about fidelity. A lot of people don't have fidelity as a non-negotiable. What are some of the things that we're forgetting? Financial stability, mental stability. Mental stability is very important, guys. You don't want to be out here with a crazy. Financial stability, you don't want to para. Mental stability, you don't want to be dealing with someone that is not well in the head. And family background is also very important to me. Would you guys date outside of your race? Like, would you date a white person?
Absolutely. I think I always seek for something new, so absolutely.
Is sex appeal, like Russell was like, he wants someone who's gonna tilt the furniture when they, is sex appeal like an important factor to you?
I think for me it is.
You young, you should just keep quiet.
For me, no.
I don't want anybody with umkaba, guys. Like, I don't like anybody who's not taking care of themselves, is living a, but
there's certain things, my friend, that you can't like take away from a person, like the way that they are built. Some of us is in a struggle. You can't take that away. But you are moving loose in other aspects of your sex appeal. You get what I'm saying?
Of course.
I
mean, I feel like for me,
it's for me as well. If a guy's looking for a chick with a BBL, honey, because honey, I'm not even like, the way I don't care about a BBL, guys. Even if I were to get millions right now, I wouldn't drop to Turkey to get a BBL. No, I like my shape. Like, I'm good.
I just feel like you will never find a perfect partner. Like,
No.
there will always be like something, like a flaw about them, and you have to like accept it if you like truly love them. But I do feel like there have to be some things that I do like about you, that I'm interested to about you as well, you know.
Okay. So, but that's only on the physicality. But in terms of a non-negotiable, it's not there. I also feel like non-negotiables should be like strong things, like not like, oh no, we want them to have big boobs, big butt, no waist.
For some it is, especially from men.
Exactly. Yeah, but and like Russell is a man, so it would make sense for him to want someone who's gonna tilt the furniture. So it makes sense. So on the first segment, which is the non-negotiables, and we are driving this point with Ciara and Russell Wilson, is the importance of knowing that a relationship is a partnership. And once you know it's a partnership, it's very important that you create parameters in and around your relationship that are deemed non-negotiable. So you're not going to be crossing over to the other side if that is not on the table for your guys' relationship. So that was very important. I liked the first segment. So moving over to the second segment, we are going to be talking about the foundations of a relationship. So you have decided you want a partner, long-term one, and you have now decided that these are the parameters, these are the non-negotiables for yourself in a relationship. And then now you're like, now let me go set a foundation. So what are the most important things when you are building a foundation for a relationship? So I'm going to be driving this point with love languages via Black Coffee and Mbali Mlotshwa's relationship. Let's get into the Black Coffee relationship. So Black Coffee trended, was it last year? Off a clip that he went in an interview with in 5FM. So he was basically talking about how he had bought a car for an ex. We are allegedly assuming this ex is the ex-wife, but it's alleged, darling. We're not gonna try to get sued. Mm-hmm. So, and then he spoke about how he bought this woman an expensive car, and then she wasn't appreciative, and then he started having this resentment towards the lady for a very long time. And the whole time I was listening to this clip, and this sat with me for a very long time, I was like, no, that just means that they didn't have a strong foundation as a couple themselves. Because really what that spoke to was love languages, you knowing how to love your partner and your partner knowing how to love you. So before we go any further, this clip with Black Coffee sort of like encompasses everything that we're going to be talking about in terms of relationship foundations.
Me, I think I modeled marriage my own way. Alone. Like, because of my upbringing and my parents failing in marriage, and then me not being raised by both of them, I created my own world where I'm like, when I get a chance to do this thing, I'm gonna do it this way. And so much that you wanna lead in everything. You wanna cover everything. You wanna be the driver of this thing. And so much that you forget that there's someone next to you who also holds the map. That's right. It's the journey for two. Yeah. So you're a driver, there's a navigator. That's right. And both of you are important. And vice versa. So every time I would make a move that I thought was big for us, and it wasn't received like that, a part of me was dying. Because I'm like, trust me, I know how this thing is gonna work. Trust me. Let me take this thing forward. Instead of trust us. Yeah. So, and every time I was talking to you off air about one day, I bought my ex a very fancy car. Yeah. And the response wasn't what I expected. She wasn't as excited as you expected. Yeah, and it was like, for me, especially at the time, it was like a super fancy car. I expected even beyond for you. I expected it to even cry. Like, oh, nice, thank you. And it sat with me heavily for a long time. As someone who was not appreciating. But there's a lesson there. Sometimes we are ahead, and there's things we wish for people, there's things they wish for themselves, and we make a mistake of imposing our wishes on them. Come on now. So it's like me saying I want to go to the moon. The moon is always known as a place where take you to the moon. That's right. And then I take my partner to the moon. And I'm like, we are at the moon. And she's like, okay, but I want to go back home. We're on the moon. And are you serious? Like, look at where we are right now. We are above everything. She's like, yeah, but cool for you. Same thing. So there's so many of those things that hit me later. Not to say that then I want to try marriage again. Just understanding it where I'm like, I could have been easier on that. Yeah. I could have taken time on that. I could have, when you come out, it's so easy to say, she's wrong, she did that, you know. But if you're gonna sit and be honest with yourself, you're gonna find a lot of loopholes in the things that you've also done.
That's right.
And that's when peace comes.
So just on the foundation element in terms of the clip with Black Coffee, number one, he does admit that he didn't know relationships to be a partnership, and this is largely due to the fact that he didn't have parents as good examples to teach him how to be in a relationship with someone, and because of that he decided he was just going to wing it. And winging it for him just meant that he was just going to be the leader and everybody else around him was just going to take whatever they were supposed to get. Back to what we're talking about in terms of foundation, because we already spoke about that partnership and having that strong understanding of what a relationship is, what you want from a relationship, and creating those parameters. And then for him, he didn't even have that to start with, so he was just winging it. And what we learned from him winging the thing is that, number one, he didn't have a foundation. He didn't know what he was bringing to the relationship, or he knew what he was bringing to the relationship. The other person was just not looking for that in that particular relationship. And then number two was around communication, which is what we are talking about in terms of how do you love your partner, the love language. We know how we want to be loved and we are so ready to communicate that. What's more important in a partnership is how does the next person want to be loved. For example, for me, I am a doer. Like, I like doing for people. Like, I know these guys, like literally that's me. And I never knew that guys hated that part. Like, and for some reason I met those people and I was the kwenzeling queen. Like, if I love you, I want to do for you, but the people didn't want to be loved like that. So that's what Black Coffee was coming to the realization of. Okay, siyajola, but lo mntu ndijola naye doesn't want to be loved the way I love. And I am pissed off and angry and like literally boiling inside year in and year out by the mere fact that I'm loving this person as much as I can, but they are unhappy about it. Not because you're not loving them, but it's not how they receive love. Which is why it's important to know how your partner receives love. Which is definitely what was wrong with Black Coffee. And last but not least, Utatako didn't know that there's two people in a relationship, number one. And it takes two people to be in a relationship, number two. Mm-hmm. And number three, in order for the relationship to be successful, he needs to know that there's two people in a relationship. So that means that communication element and aspect was already broken because he wanted to be what? King Kuta. It's my statulo. It's him, and he definitely does admit that he wanted to be the leader. He wanted this, he wanted that, and then he bought this girl the car and the queen didn't cry. Which then reminded me of a similar circumstance with our favorite couple overseas, Will and Jada.
Favorite? I don't know about that.
So same thing happened to Will and Jada. So it was Jada's 40th birthday. And so again, Will Smith was exactly like Black Coffee. I'm the leader. And this is what we are doing. I'm the one who's got the success matrix for this relationship. We are successful if you cry when I buy you a Lamborghini. If I can't tell a Lamborghini, honey, I got successful to the relationship. So Will actually did the same thing to Jada and went on a tangent, did a whole documentary about the queen's, what was it? Ancestry, blah, blah, blah. And Jada was like, really, nigga? I don't want this. I hate this. Matter of fact, I want to go home. And that speaks to what we're talking about, that strong foundation of knowing what you bring to the table, but knowing what the other person wants as well. actually, let me scratch that because I don't want to use the word integral, is number one, knowing what you want from a relationship, knowing what your love languages are, and also the person also has to also be cushioned to understand that they also bring something to the relationship, and there's also ways and aspects in which they want to be loved, and having that not work means that there is a strong miscommunication happening in and around the relationship. And so that's what we are learning on this segment about the foundation. Know what your foundation is on the relationship. What do you bring? But most importantly, understand what the other person is bringing to the relationship. Next to that immediately is how you want to be loved, and also how your partner wants to be loved. So you guys are symbiotic. I used to have a friend, younger. She used to say, oh my God, relationships have to be symbiotic. You can't just give. It has to be give and take. It has to be give and take. And then the queen would go find another non-symbiotic relationship to be in. And then I was like, but girl, you are the queen of symbiotic. Why aren't you symbioticing the relationship? But that's a story for another day. And before we move into the next segment, I really wanted to play this clip with Will Smith where he actually talks about his relationship with Jada, and then we're just going to close off this segment.
The problem is really singular. And if you're talking about a husband and a wife, or you're talking about a parent and a child, or a Democrat and a Republican, or a Saudi and an American, whatever, in all the configurations of human difficulty, at the center of it is almost exclusively a lack of understanding of the other person's perspective, right? And it sounds simple, and it may oversimplify slightly, but the concept of ignorance, the concepts of ignorance and delusion are always the problem. Yeah. Right? It's always the center. If you have a difficulty with another human being, there's some point of ignorance and some point of delusion that are keeping you from being able on both sides, right? And the problem is you can only worry about yours. You have to clear yours, and then once you clear yours and your vision gets clean and purified, and you approach a person from a purified space, things get a whole lot easier. And it's like you are always bringing poison to the party.
Yep, you are always bringing poison to the party. Foundation is very important, knowing what you want, knowing how to let the next person know, but also being cognizant of the fact that there is a next person. They are part and parcel of the relationship. They also have their own ideas about what they want in a relationship, and they also have their own way in which they want to be loved in a relationship. And you guys have to meet each other halfway in order for this to work. Jada didn't cry when Will went around doing a documentary for 40th. He said it cost millions. Black Coffee's ex, we know who it is, but we're not going to say.
Lawsuit, honey, lawsuit.
Aye, sisi, Queen is solo gama na makonza.
Yeah.
She got a very expensive $1 million car and she didn't cry. And I was thinking about, hello, even me, if someone went and did a random documentary about my ancestors connected to the San Khoi people, I'd be like, and then? And then if someone buys me a car, I'd be like, and then? And I was thinking, what would make me cry? What would make you cry? Like if you got a gift from a partner, what would you be like, oh my God, this is thoughtful as
Definitely for me, Nicki Minaj tickets overseas.
You are like young, like this is like a 2000 guys. Like please, it's airtime, KFC, chicken Nicki.
A Nicki
Land.
Minaj concert ticket.
I want 100K a week. I want 20K by the end of this week in cash.
Okay, my guys.
When I told me what would be something that your partner does for you that would make you cry.
Definitely investing like in property for me.
Hello, land. And I know the queen loves cars, so if you got like a Maserati, you would be here dying.
Oh, honey.
I want your kiss.
No.
Exactly. So black coffee. If you're trying to buy someone a sports car that is gonna
We have
appreciate
someone
it
here.
and cry and ball out, roll on the ground, honey.
The queen is here.
Over there, you've got your partner right now.
Link in bio.
We're gonna link her details down below, honey. I was thinking for myself, I was like, guys, for me, a trip to the 11 churches in Ethiopia would be what would make me happy, because you know, guys, I'm fake spiritual. I want to be pushing my fake spiritual prop in the real spiritual places. Like, I want to go to the churches in Ethiopia. I want to go to Egypt. I want to push my like spiritual prop. So if a person's like, B, here is a ticket for the annual pilgrimage in Ethiopia in December, let's go. I'd be like,
Love of my life.
you are the love. You are the love of my life, honey. So to close off this segment, lay a very strong foundation about who you are, what you want, what you bring, and also be cognizant that the next person is also looking for the same thing. So you guys have to be able to actively communicate your situation together and make sure it is communicative. You don't want to be in Afri4. Sending your letter to the United States and they come and offer you a Maserati you don't want, and then niggas are shocked you're not crying. So don't do that. And then the last segment, darling, it's called evaluation, and this is going to be driven home for us by Barack and Michelle Obama, because we're taking this all the way to the White House. We are not playing. I wanted to add a local couple, but they recently sued someone and they successfully won. And I was like, hell no, honey, I ain't got no coins, so I'm not getting involved. Let's get the international people, because they out here yapping on the books, yapping on the internet, and it's easy for us to get their data. So so evaluation. How do you measure success in a relationship? And I remember the first time that actually I thought about this actively as a human being. I was actually very young. I think I was in high school, and Jay-Z had a song called Beach Chair off of his Kingdom Come album. I'm sure you guys are sick and tired of me talking about the Kingdom Come album. You're like, girl, we heard! But but there's a line there where he's actually talking about went from shabby clothes to crossing the Abbey Road and to angels singing to me, and Beyonce comes in and is like, are you happy, ho? I was like, hello, I also want to ask my man if he's happy. So I started practicing asking my man, be like, are you happy, ho? And that for me has always reminded me that every time you're in a relationship, you have to check in with the next person. How are you happy, Nikki? Are you happy, Nikki? Are you happy? Are you happy, T?
Over that time.
Are you happy? So, but before we get into evaluation with the Obamas, darling, I wanted to talk about evaluation from a perspective that we don't talk about. Because when you're talking about evaluation, what do you want? Positive results. Yeah, we are winning. But really, the person who has taught us the most important thing about love is Bob Marley. What did Bob Marley say, Takashi?
Bob Marley says the truth is everyone is going to hurt you. You just got to find the ones worth suffering for.
So before we get to evaluation, what are we trying to say? We are trying to say that relationships are not perfect. You are never going to be 100% happy. So you always have to look at that emotional investment for yourself. Even before you go in, you have to be like, damn feel man, but am I ready to go there? Is this the person that I want to emotionally invest these feelings towards? And for you to know if it's the person you want to evaluate, if it's the person you want to invest your emotional feelings towards, you just listen to the first segment of the show. Partnership, non-negotiables, communication, love languages, knowing that things will always go left. But most importantly, knowing that things are never perfect in a relationship. So when you're going through it, like any aspect of your life, there's going to be a suffering element. And this point was driven home to me by Michelle Obama when the Queen was trending for saying what? She was unhappy for 10 years of her life in a relationship with Barack Obama. And everybody was like, 10 years of slavery. No. And I was like, I want to know what the Queen is saying. So when I was doing my research for this episode, I got the time to actually listen to what the Queen was saying. But we're going to be listening to Barack Obama's situation first. So roll the clip by Barack Obama.
During the time we were there, Michelle
He's
felt
talking
this
about
underlying
him
tension.
being in the White House.
Tension, pressure, stress of.
Can you start again, Fred?
During the time we were there, Michelle felt this underlying tension. Tension, pressure, stress of needing to get everything right, to be on at every moment. You know, she's somebody who I think wants to do everything just so. I tend to be, they'll be fine. And I worry a little bit less just temperamentally than she does. And so it was harder on her in many ways than it was on me, even though, obviously the nature of our responsibilities were different.
But Barack and Michelle's marriage began to heal soon after they left the White House.
I write in the preface, it was like a big exhale right after we leave office. And it took some time to talk about how she had felt. There were times where I think she was frustrated or sad or angry, but knew that I had Afghanistan to worry about or the financial crisis to worry about. So she would tamp it down. She wouldn't go at me for having to stay up until 2 or 3 in the morning working and reading briefing papers. But I think once it was done, there was the possibility of her opening up about how she felt. But more importantly, I think just her being able to let out a breath and relax. And in our relationship, the old adage, if mom's happy, everybody's happy, very much applies in our household. And she, I think, has been more relaxed and more joyful since we left office. And that allowed us then to not just enjoy the deep love that comes with a marriage this long and as eventful as it's been, but also to be friends again, right? Some of that comes probably also from the kids getting older, frankly. In the same way that she worried about wanting to be a great first lady, which she was. She wanted to be a really excellent mom, which she also was. But when the girls were younger, she was worrying about it a lot more. And now that they've turned out pretty good, I think that also is a burden lifted from her and allows her to be a little more relaxed. And we laugh and goof off and have more time with each other.
Yep. So that is the former president, everybody's favorite president. Is Barack your favorite president?
Yes, it is.
Hello, mine is Thabo Mbeki, guys, and it's a hill I will forever die in.
No, I mean overseas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that first clip is actually talking about the 10 years of suffering that Michelle Obama did endure. And I wanted to bring both the context. So the 10 years were being suffered by Michelle for a bigger cause, which is what compromising and sacrifice is in around a relationship. Barack's dream has always been to be president. He's been working towards this his whole life, and it eventually did happen. Michelle, being the woman that she is, her first mandate was in and around her family, her children. Are we going to be able to be a family together? And Barack does talk about the additional pressures of Michelle being a black woman and always having that pressure to be perfect. So because she was having her own struggles, and Barack does talk about the fact that was more emotionally invested in the issue, and he was just here like, no, I'm just doing my job as president. But Barack Obama was doing something big that Michelle knew was incoming for as long as she's been with Barack Obama. So now it was the culmination of that. Someone had to sacrifice. And unfortunately for Michelle, she had to be the one doing the compromise and sacrificing for the bigger scheme of things, for that partnership that they had created for themselves. And what's also another important thing to take out of this clip is them already defining what the core of the relationship is, which was family, children. So that was what the glue was for the Barack Obama and Michelle Obama relationship. They both wanted to have a family, and they wanted to have these children, and they wanted to raise the children and be family oriented. So even though Barack Obama still had to push his slavery prop and be a president, Michelle had to then come in and still make sure that that core essence of who they were stays intact. I wanted to bring that point very, very much into the forefront. There has to be an anchor in the partnership, something that you guys both agree on wholeheartedly as the partnership. Before now, you have your dreams, Takashi, of whatever you want to do, or you have your dreams, Oluchi, of being Oprah, or whatever I want to do, and then sometimes there has to be sacrifice from one of the partners. There has to be an anchor, because if there's no anchor, you are just going to be dying. So Michelle does talk about the fact that she hated Barack Obama, hated the whole thing, but she knew she was writing history, rewriting history, and she knew she was with this man that always wanted to do this. So this was not new information to her. But in essence of that, she had to deal, which is how she dealt. Roll the clip.
You talk about having marriage counseling.
Absolutely.
Which is, no one knew about that.
Yeah, marriage is hard, even for us. We have a great relationship, but the thing about marriage counseling is, like, I was one of those wives who thought, I'm taking you to marriage counseling so you can be fixed, Barack Obama, because I was like, I'm perfect. I was like, Dr. X, please fix him. And then our counselor looked over at me. I was like, what are you looking at? I'm perfect. But marriage counseling was a turning point for me, understanding that it wasn't up to my husband to make me happy, that I had to learn how to fill myself up and have to put myself higher on my priority list. So I share that because there are a lot of young people who look at me and Barack and you and your wife and people they see, and they think, oh, I want those hashtag relationship goals. But I want young people to know that marriages work. Even the best marriages require work. I call them a vexation. It's a choice that you make again and again and again, because I don't want young people to quit the minute they have a hardship. Because I always say, look, if you're married for 50 years and 10 of them are horrible, you're doing really good. Not bad. Not bad. You're doing really good. Anybody would take those odds.
So I wanted to bring home the point that Black Coffee and Will Smith missed in their respective marriages around the fact that it takes two to tango. It's not one person that's in a relationship, it's two people, and two people that are individuals and have something they are bringing into the partnership. And I wanted to also emphasize about the fact that you have, while you are in the evaluation of we are in this situation, you need to be able to use external factors. If you guys need to go see a marriage counselor, go see a marriage counselor, a relationship expert, watch TED Talks together that speak in and around relationships, share books. You have to find tools that are going to help you on this journey, because Michelle did say, Marriages work, even the perfect ones, and I mean, we look at their relationship, like they're perfect, but guys, they can't be perfect because even Mandela wasn't perfect with Winnie Madikizela Mandela. So that was clip number 2 about the fact that it takes 2 to tango, and also use other tools outside of your guys' selves to try to solve the problem, because you don't have all the answers, you're not sway, and you need to be able to get other people. Please don't get your family involved, guys. I would strongly don't do that. Don't get your family involved, not even your friends, honey. Rather pay a therapist and go speak to a professional about things that have to do with your partnership. Number 1, number 2, and number 3. And another point I wanted to bring around this clip is the fact that you can tell Michelle knew what that anchor was for their relationship, which is around family and which was around their children. And then I wanted to play this 3rd clip from Barack Obama. I think it's the first one from the bottom now, finally.
And, you know, I think Michelle feels the same way. One of the reasons maybe that Michelle, for all her frustration sometimes about the career path that I chose, always supported me, was her understanding that if push ever really came to shove, that I'd always give that up for my family. If I thought that it was having a real adverse impact on the kids, if we saw signs that there were issues, she knew what mattered most to me.
Yep, and we wanted to talk about that, and I titled this Drawing the Line. So even as a family, that anchor is where you guys should be drawing the line. And for Barack, he explicitly says that between him and Michelle, there was an explicit understanding that if his job of whatever propaganda he was pushing from himself for his own survival and slavery, if there was ever a time and place where that was tramping, is it tramping or tramping? I don't know, but it was overtaking that core of family children, then Barack was like, I'm ready to quit. Because there has to be a line drawn in the sand. Like, okay, I get the fact that ubizu yasabenza and you're trying to save the world, but at the end of the day, you should be able to draw a line for yourself and be like, this is too much. This is just extra. And I need to go back to, is this in line with what my anchor is, to be a family man, to be a father? If not, then hello, bye, being president of the United States. I'm going home to Michelle Obama and the kids and to be a father. And then I wanted to roll the last clip. This is the latest I could find around the Barack and Michelle Obama's relationship. And this was Michelle Obama at the Jennifer Hudson talking about her relationship with Barack.
Now, how's our former president doing?
He's doing okay.
He's doing all right.
Yeah. He's still working too hard, you know. But I think that's something he will always do. Yeah. That was our anniversary date. But he's doing well, working hard on the Obama Presidential Center. So we've been able to get some fun dates. That picture was us at the U.S. Open, and that was the first time he got to go to the U.S. Open in person. But he's working hard on the Obama Presidential Center, which is on the south side of Chicago.
I love that.
Yeah. I'm really proud of what he's done there, because it's not just his presidential center, but it's really a $1 billion economic development engine. It's going to be the only presidential center in an urban area. And it's not just a place for our archives, but it's a leadership institute. We were going to have some of the most amazing art so that young people who grew up on the south side like us, who don't always feel welcome downtown, can come and see some of the best art right in their own backyard.
And your girls, because I remember them being little, and now they're all grown up.
They're
women carving their own lanes
in the world.
The women
living on their own.
Amazing.
Paying rent.
What is that? You said they paying rent. They're independent. They
They
have their
are.
own artistry?
They live together. I just I've loved every phase of raising my daughters. I loved them when they were in my lap and so cute and they just come for the cuddles. And now they're just grown, and they're more raising me. But they are amazing. Sasha's in school. Malia has a budding career in film.
That is awesome.
They are smart. They are funny. They're wise in their own ways, and I love spending time with them. So they're doing great, and they send their love.
Okay, I wanted to, this is a long clip, but I wanted to add that part because it merges what we were talking about, that understanding, because Michelle was speaking about Barack and she quickly went into Barack, former president, art center, because she understands that that is her man and that is what he is wanting to be known for. And so that means that even after the White House, she is still supporting her husband's endeavors and she's proud to be doing that. That's why she went on promotion mode. And then immediately after that, she talks about her children and how they're doing well and how they're raising them now. And later on in the clip, she actually does talk about the fact that they go to Hawaii every Christmas because that's where Barack is from, and then they enjoy Christmas and are having a nice life. I wanted to just close this segment with that, with the fact that even after all of these challenges that they've had and everything, they came out as the people that they went into these challenges with. Barack Obama still pushing his propaganda, trying to be doing whatever he needs to be doing to change and save the world. Michelle being there, supporting her husband fully. And then they have these children that have always been the core anchor. They raise them and they have this family now with the free time. Barack was talking about the fact that they can now actually go on dates because they don't have to book it 5 months in advance, have Secret Service. So it worked out for them. And that was that understanding that this is our commonality, this is our anchor as a family. I know you, I know what you want, and I will support you as. Know me, know what I want, support me as. If there's trouble, go to therapy, find these elements that can help us to move back into that anchor. But most importantly, know where you draw the line. Like if now I'm at work every day of the week and only coming back at home at 3 a.m., you pushing it because hello, when are you spending time with the anchor that you said was the anchor? And yeah, does that make sense? As a conclusion? Yeah. And I wanted to have another segment around contracting, and which is around the paperwork documents in a marriage setting, but I was like, oh, this is too much, and this is too much. And so we're not going to be talking about that in our conversation with Nikki. We're just going to touch on that because the queen is a lawyer, darling. And but before we end, I'm not gonna, this is a long video, non-negotiables, know what you want, non-negotiables, foundation, communication, love languages, evaluation. What else did we talk about? A lot, hey? A lot. And I wanted to have the marriage thing, when to sign the paperwork, contracting, blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'll get to that later on in life when I talk about relationships again. But we're just going to roll this Kendrick clip just as to close off this conversation, because I was looking at how to close off the conversation and I just couldn't find anything. And so yesterday I was like chilling outside on the balcony and I was like, let me listen to some Kendrick. And he had an interview with Apple Music, and this had nothing to do with romantic love, by the way, but it merges directly. This guy was asking a question about how to be authentic as an individual in order for you to show up as your best self, and also to show that authenticity in your output in the world, in the artistry that you bring, blah, blah, blah. So this is what Kendrick said. I think it's the first one from the top.
Know that you are in this existence and in this world as one individual. It's only you. You have to know that you got to carry that authentic nature of allowing yourself to say, this is who I am. This is how people are going to see me, and also going to respect me, and it's going to inspire people to have truth. Because when everyone's authentic, what comes out of that is true love. It's just no boundaries. We don't have any courtship on judgment. We don't have any perception of being able to ridicule anyone because you showing up as your true self and showing up as my true self and carrying that nature to take you places.
I just wanted to just add that part that true love comes from you being authentic about your experience, authentic about yourself, authentic about everything really. And I think that's basically what I was trying to say the whole time in this video, that true love will come from that authenticity. And authenticity means that you know nothing is perfect and nothing is non-conditional. And with that said, I have no further information to give to the masses. Thank you guys. Do like, do comment, do subscribe, and I shall catch you next week.